my birthday. My parents covered my eyes, said it's a blessing, then left me outside alone. Lily awoke to the sun splashing golden light across her bedroom, painting everything in warmth and excitement. Today was her 12th birthday. She could almost smell the cake baking downstairs, flavors swirling through her mind like a sweet dream. As she jumped out of bed, her heart raced with thoughts of gifts, laughter, and the best birthday ever. But then a tickle of anxiety crept in. What if her friends didn't show up? What if the party was a flop? She pushed those thoughts away, reminding herself of the shimmering adventure that awaited. When her parents called her into the living room, her stomach flipped. They wore gleeful smiles, exchanging secret glances like magicians ready to reveal their greatest trick. "Lily," her mom said, with a glimmer in her eyes, "we have a surprise for you." With a playful grin, they gently covered her eyes with a blindfold. "It's a blessing," her dad whispered, and before she could respond, they led her outside, the world around her falling silent. She stood there, blindfolded, breathing in the unfamiliar stillness. Then it hit her. Where was everyone? The laughter of the neighborhood kids was gone, replaced by an eerie quiet. Panic bubbled inside her. Had she done something wrong? She tugged at the cloth, feeling its constriction tighten around her heart. "Mom?" she called, her voice shaky. No answer. Only the rustling leaves whispered secrets, and her heart raced louder than before. She focused on the other sounds, the oddly rhythmic hum wafting through the air, a melody that didn't fit the cheerful morning she had expected. Had the birds suddenly turned sinister? Just then, movement flickered in her peripheral vision. A shadow darted by, and Lily's breath caught in her throat. Should she scream? Did something dreadful lurk in the edges of her vision? Curiosity fought with her instinct to flee, and she stood frozen. Caught in a glaring moment of uncertainty, her pulse quickened as she summoned the courage to step forward. The blindfold felt heavy over her eyes. It was like a thick fog, cutting her off from the truth. What lay beyond was completely unknown. Was it a surprise party? Or something far more terrifying? The humming deepened, wrapping her in a cocoon of dread and anticipation. With trembling hands, she could feel her birthday slipping away, the hope of joy folding into shadows. As she finally began to peel away the blindfold, her heart thumped. What awaited her in this strange stillness? The last rays of sunlight flickered above, hinting at a mystery waiting to unravel. Hey, before you continue with this incredible story, I have an important warning for ye. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And while you're at it, leave a like to help me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. Lily's fingers trembled as she peeled the blindfold away, each movement slow and deliberate. Her heart pounded in her chest, a wild drum signaling her rising panic. The world around her came into focus slowly. The backyard was quiet, empty of guests, and the cake was unguarded on the table. But there was no one to share it with. No happy voices filled the air, just an unsettling silence that gnawed at her. "Mom?" she called again. Nothing. She ripped the blindfold off and blinked into the blinding sunshine. The garden felt like an abandoned set, stripped of laughter and joy. A flutter of fear prickled at the back of her neck. Something felt wrong. Where were her parents? Before she could piece together her swirling thoughts, the odd humming returned. It was louder now, vibrating in her bones. Her gaze darted around, searching for the source, but only shadows moved beneath the tree's heavy branches. It was unsettling. Then, without warning, a figure emerged from behind the hedge. Lily's heart dropped into her stomach. It wasn't a friend or family member. It was a man. He was tall and wore a dark coat that flapped against the wind. His face was obscured, but his presence loomed ominously in the sunlight. "Lily," he said, his voice low and smooth like syrup. "Happy birthday." Something twisted inside her. Instead of excitement, fear wrapped around her chest. "Who are you?" she stammered, backing up instinctively. The man did not step forward. He stayed rooted, his expression hidden. "You're not alone," he said, almost soothingly, and Lily felt a sick sort of dread. Behind him, she noticed movement again. Not just a flicker, more figures were appearing. Her breath caught as the realization dawned on her. These weren't just any strangers. It was a group. Shadows stepping into the light, faces familiar, but distorted by time and secrecy. There stood her friends, looking dazed. And behind them, her parents, pale, wide-eyed and fragile, as if drained of color. "Mom? Dad?" she cried, the lump in her throat choking her voice. "Lily," her mom said, stepping forward, It's a surprise reveal." But it felt wrong. The energy of the moment swam heavy with something sinister. Just then, the man spoke again, his voice sharper. "She needs to know the truth. Today is not just a birthday. It's a reckoning." Her pulse raced. What truth? Lightning flashed through the sky, a blinding bolt cracking down nearby, sending her heart racing faster. The moment hung heavy, filled with tension and fear. The man pointed towards the group. "Everything you thought you knew, it's all a lie!" Lily's breath shattered. "What do you mean?" The ground seemed to tilt beneath her, as if the world she had known was crumbling like a house of cards. The faces around her twisted, revealing more than confusion. They held sorrow, guilt, and a hint of betrayal. "Your birthday marks the day you find your purpose," he continued, his eyes narrowing. "Today, everything changes. You're not who you think you are." A gasp rippled through the group, but Lily could only stare, her mind racing. "What are you saying? I don't understand." The man's gaze locked with hers, the humming intensifying. She felt her heart tremble with every word he spoke. "You are more powerful than you know. But your parents, they've kept it hidden for your safety." Lily's world upended, spinning into a kaleidoscope of fear and uncertainty. The birthday she had anticipated melted into something else, something dark and full of questions. As shock settled in, one thought screamed in her mind. What else had been hidden from her? What other truths awaited, ready to shatter everything she trusted? Lily's world spun as the man's words sank in, shaking her very core. "What do you mean?" she gasped. Confusion twisted in her mind like a tangled rope. Every second felt like an eternity, her heart thudding in her chest, drowning out the eerie humming still filling the air. The man stepped closer, his dark coat flapping with an urgency that sent chills down her spine. "You have a choice, Lily. Your powers can awaken, but only if you free yourself from the chains they've wrapped around you." Her parents looked on, their faces pale and strangely vacant. Like dolls frozen in a nightmare. "Mom, Dad," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "What is he talking about?" Tears threatened to spill as she searched their eyes for comfort. Just then, a loud crack echoed from above. It was as if the sky itself had snapped, and Lily recoiled. The ground trembled, and a gust of wind whipped through the garden. Her friends gasped, eyes wide with fear, but they remained silent, like spectators in a haunting play. The shadows deepened, closing in around her. "Enough!" shouted one of her friends, Tom, his voice breaking the tension. "Let her go! This isn't right!" But the man simply smiled, a slow, cruel smile that felt like ice. "This isn't just any birthday party, dear child. You've waited long enough." Suddenly, a loud thump erupted from the hedge behind him, startling everyone. It was a figure stumbling into the light, a woman dressed in tattered clothing, her eyes wild with fear and fury. "You don't know what you're getting into!" she shrieked, her voice cracking as she pointed a finger at the man. Lily's breath caught. The woman, the only thing brighter than the surroundings, reminded her of a figure from her dreams, distant yet familiar. "What are you talking about? She's not just a child. She's the key," the woman shouted, and Lily's heart raced. The man's expression turned dark, fury flashing in his eyes. "Enough! You'll ruin everything." But the woman pressed on. "Lily, listen to me. Your parents, they are not who you think they are." A wave of shock swept through the crowd. Lily staggered back, her world spiraling into chaos. "What?" she gasped, heart pounding. Who was this woman? What truths lay buried beneath the surface? "They've kept you hidden for your own safety," the woman continued, voice laced with desperation. "They are not your real parents." The words struck Lily like a thunderbolt. The air turned electric, and she felt her sense of reality cracking. "What are you saying?" she choked, clenching her fists. "What's the truth?" "No!" her mother cried, stepping forward, panic lacing her voice. "Don't listen to her!" But the darkness in the man's eyes reflected danger, and Lily felt a terrifying shift within her. The humming turned frantic, battling her racing thoughts. It was as if the air was bringing a tide of memories, flashes of faces, whispers of a past barely remembered. "Lily, you need to make a choice," the woman shouted, stepping towards her, urgency painted across her face. "You can embrace who you are, or remain trapped in their lies. Lily's heart pounded in her chest, a strange fire igniting within her. She couldn't look away from the woman's intense gaze. All the laughter, dreams, and cake faded into the background. "Lily!" the man warned, voice low. "If you choose to listen to her, there will be consequences." They stood on the edge of a precipice, chaos swirling around them. Everything she knew shattered like glass beneath her feet. What would she do? Who was she really? The air crackled with tension. In that heartbeat between past and possibility, one question resonated louder than all others. Who was she really? Lily stood on the edge of chaos, her heart pounding in rhythm with the frantic humming that surrounded her. Everything felt heavy, truths unturned, secrets hovering just out of reach. She locked eyes with the mysterious woman, crying out to her, desperation etched in every contour of her face. "Listen to me! Your potential," the woman's voice echoed, fierce and unwavering, but her words mingled with the fear that now gripped Lily's chest. Suddenly, a surge of emotions hit her. Anger rose within, sharp and hot. "What do you know about me?" she shot back, as if the question could shield her from the unraveling truth. The humming intensified, drumming in her ears like a warning bell. The man stepped closer, dark eyes glimmering with a twisted determination. "Don't believe her, Lily," he commanded, a swirl of authority in his tone. But as Lily glared at him, a flicker of recognition sparked inside her. Who was this man controlling the narrative? "Lily!" Her mother's voice drifted through the fog. "Please, just ignore her. It's not safe." Tension seeped into the air. Her parents stood stiffly, their faces masked with fear. But also something else. A flicker of guilt. A storm of emotions warred within Lily. But nothing prepared her for what happened next. The woman surged forward, eyes blazing. "You need to know why you were hidden." Before she could utter the words that would shatter the fragile truth, the ground convulsed violently beneath them. It felt like an earthquake had erupted from the very earth. The noise became deafening. The trees shook, and a fierce wind whipped through the garden, scattering leaves like confetti in a whirlwind. Then, amidst the chaos, there was a flash, a bright white light that engulfed everything. Lily squinted against it, heart racing, fear spilling over into pure panic. She had barely registered what was happening when everything shifted. The warmth turned cold, and she felt a searing pain shoot through her body, as if every cell was being slammed back into place. Just like that. The light blinked out. Now stood not the man or the confused gathering of her parents and friends, but an entirely new landscape. She blinked against it. She was not in her backyard anymore. She was alone, standing on a desolate, moonlit expanse, surrounded by shadows that danced along the horizon. The once familiar faces she had trusted were nowhere to be seen. Panic clawed at her throat. "No!" she shouted into the void. And then a voice boomed, echoing all around. "Lily, it is time to awaken!" A shiver ran through her. She whipped around, desperately searching for the source. But it came from everywhere and nowhere. A sharp gust of wind thrust against her, freezing her in place. What does that mean? The shadows twisted, forming shapes, whispers filling the silence, calling her name. Lily, you're not just a girl. The words hit her with an electric shock. Memories flooded her mind, faint images of a life she couldn't grasp. They flickered like a broken screen. Faces she didn't recognize flashed before her, different, strange, pulling her deeper into confusion. With determination and a pounding heart, she yelled back, "I am just a—" But the shadows surged forward, swelling into figures, ancient and powerful. The original man emerged from their midst, a dark cloud of energy swirling around him. You were never just a girl, Lily. You are part of something much larger than yourself. Her mind swirled with uncertainty, trying to grasp the impossible, drowning in the weight of revelations. Lily struggled to catch her breath as fragments of truth slid into place. Was she truly meant for something more? Everything she thought she knew shattered beneath her, the world she knew breaking apart like glass in an explosion. As the shadows quaked, a single question clawed at her heart, pressing toward the surface like a scream. Who was she really? She locked eyes with the mysterious woman crying out to her, desperation etched in every contour of her face. "Listen to me! Your potential!" The woman's voice echoed, fierce and unwavering. But her words mingled with the fear that now gripped Lily's chest. Suddenly, a surge of emotions hit her. Anger rose within, sharp and hot. "What do you know about me?" she shot back, as if the question could shield her from the unraveling truth. The humming intensified, drumming in her ears like a warning bell. The man stepped closer, dark eyes glimmering with a twisted determination. "Don't believe her, Lily," he commanded, a swirl of authority in his tone. But as Lily glared at him, a flicker of recognition sparked inside her. Who was this man controlling the narrative? "Lily!" Her mother's voice drifted through the fog. "Please, just ignore her. It's not safe." Tension seeped into the air. Her parents stood stiffly, their faces masked with fear. But also something else, a flicker of guilt. A storm of emotions warred within Lily, but nothing prepared her for what happened next. A loud crack echoed through the empty space, reverberating with a ground-shaking force. The shadows twisted, starting to close in around her, and then, out of the depths of the darkness, a radiant light erupted. It sliced through the chaos, illuminating everything with a blinding brightness. Lily shielded her eyes, heart racing. In that moment, time seemed to stretch. The world around her flickered, the shadows melting away, revealing a grand room filled with strange symbols and luminescent colors that danced against the walls. "Welcome, Lily," a voice called out, one that rang like beautiful chimes. It felt familiar. Lily lowered her hands to see figures before her. Two women with flowing hair and eyes shining like stars. They stood with a regal grace, their smiles warm yet haunting. "Who are you?" she breathed, bewildered. "We are your true guardians," one answered softly, her gaze steady. "And we bring both truth and choice." Before Lily could react, the shadows merged into the dark-coated man who now towered, a mere silhouette against the brilliance. "No," he yelled, but the women remained unfazed. "Lily, the truth is your life has been a safeguard," the second guardian said. "You are part of a legacy far beyond this world, a protector, a keeper of balance." Words swirled in her mind, unsettling and strange. She felt like she was floating. "What do you mean?" she stammered. "I thought I was just me." The first guardian stepped closer. "You are both the fire and the storm, Lily. Your powers are dormant, tucked away by the very people who raised you. They hid you from the truth, from the others who would seek to control you." The air grew. "My parents!" Suddenly, a piercing scream cut through the room, sharp and chilling. Time froze. All eyes turned toward her mother, who stood trembling, her eyes wide with horror. "No! Lily, don't listen!" "Stop!" Lily yelled, caught in the whirlwind of emotions. "What's happening?" With that, a heart-wrenching standoff ignited. The man surged forward, his hand raising. "You've meddled with forces you can't understand." He pointed toward the guardians with a mix of rage and desperation. But the guardians stood firm, their voices intertwining in a harmonic plea. "Your parents have deceived you, Lily. They are not what they seem." Confusion spread, slicing through the room like a knife. Lily's world tipped on its axis. "What do you mean?" But before she could comprehend, an explosion of light and sound erupted, tearing through the fabric of the room. The ground shook, and everything erupted in chaos. With a blinding flash, everything dissolved into night. And then silence, complete and terrifying silence. Lily stood alone once more, scattered shards of light flickering out of existence around her. Was this a dream? Reality twisted as shadows crept back in, whispering secrets, demonizing her past. Who am I really? Her voice echoed unanswered, swallowed by the void. That single question hung in the air, trembling with uncertainty. What had she unleashed? And what terrible truth lay waiting in the darkness? Lily stood there, her heart racing in the suffocating silence. The shadows around her shivered, whispering secrets she couldn't grasp. She felt hollow, lost in a vacuum of uncertainty, where fears and questions spun rapidly in her mind. Who am I, really? The words echoed back to her, unanswered, just like everything else. Suddenly, the air shifted. A chill swept through the void, wrapping around her like icy tendrils. She shivered, feeling a presence creeping closer. It was a sensation as if eyes were watching, but she couldn't see anything. With each heartbeat, her pulse quickened, the urgency clawing at her insides. Then, from the dense shadows, a figure emerged. It wasn't the dark-coated man. Instead, it was a girl, no older than Lily, with strikingly familiar features. Her hair flowed like a river, cast with a sheen that sparkled under non-existent light. When she stepped into view, Lily's heart raced, pulsing with a mix of recognition and dread. "Stop!" the girl called, voice sharp and desperate. "You have to listen to me." "Who are you?" Lily shouted, fear bubbling at the back of her throat. The girl's expression twisted with urgency. "I'm you. I'm the real you from before they found you. You're more than just their daughter. You're a part of us." Lily staggered back, words wrapping around her mind like chains. "What? No, this can't be true." "It's true. They've kept you from the world. From us." The girl took a step closer, and for a moment the shadows seemed to retreat, revealing a flicker of warmth. They hid the truth to protect themselves. They are afraid of what you can become. The mention of fear sent a shiver through Lily's veins. "What do you mean?" But before the girl could reply, the dark-coated man roared, launching himself forward. "Be quiet! You'll ruin everything!" His rush towards them sent shockwaves through the air, vibrating against Lily's heart. But in a blink, the girl held up her hand. It shimmered like a beacon. "No, this is the moment. You have to see a truth." The man froze, anger morphing into a look of horror. "You shouldn't have come back. You're supposed to be gone." With that, a blinding light erupted from the girl's hand, illuminating the space with a bright glow that consumed everything. The shadows swirled violently, and for a split second, Lily felt a rush of air, almost like a tender embrace. Then, in the brilliant flash, memories flooded back. Faces she didn't recognize but felt deep in her bones. "Let me show you," the girl cried, her voice cutting through the chaos. Lily blinked against the brightness, and the room shimmered with swirling images. Scenes of a life lived in lush lands and vibrant colors, not the dullness of the backyard she had known. But then, just as quickly as it began, everything shifted again. The brightness enveloped them, squeezing and twisting, pulling Lily apart. "No, not again!" But it was futile. The light consumed her, erasing all certainty, collapsing into shadows once more. Lily gasped and stumbled, feeling something inside her splinter. What just happened? The air thickened. "Lily!" a voice cried. She turned to see her mother. No, not her mother. The woman stood vulnerable now, a tear glistening down her cheek. "Please, you have to believe me." Confusion twisted like a knife through Lily's heart. You're not my true mother?" A whisper of disbelief hung in the air, thick with tension. The guardian's words came rushing back. "Everything you've known? It was all a lie." Just then, the dark-coated man collapsed to the ground, writhing as if caught in a storm. "You'll regret this." And with that, the very ground they stood on began to tremble, splitting in unforeseen ways. Lily's breath caught, and the world broke apart again. But as the darkness surged around them, one thought lingered in her mind. What else had they hidden? Lines had been drawn in the sand, and every truth was about to shatter. She had to decide. There was no turning back now. But deep inside, a flicker of doubt lingered. Was she ready to face whatever awaited her in the dark? Lily stood there, her heart racing in the suffocating silence. The shadows around her shivered, whispering secrets she couldn't grasp. She felt hollow, lost in a vacuum of uncertainty, where fears and questions spun rapidly in her mind. Who am I really? The words echoed back to her, unanswered, just like everything else. Suddenly, the air shifted. A chill swept through the void, wrapping around her like icy tendrils. She shivered, feeling a presence creeping closer. It was a sensation, as if eyes were watching, but she couldn't see anything. With each heartbeat, her pulse quickened, the urgency clawing at her insides. Then, from the dense shadows, a figure emerged. It wasn't the dark-coated man. Instead, it was a girl, no older than Lily, with strikingly familiar features. Her hair flowed like a river, cast with a sheen that sparkled under non-existent light. When she stepped into view, Lily's heart raced, pulsing with a mix of recognition and dread. "Stop!" the girl called, voice sharp and desperate. "You have to listen to me." "Who are you?" Lily shouted, fear bubbling at the back of her throat. The girl's expression twisted with urgency. "I'm you. I'm the real you from before they found you. You're more than just their daughter. You're a part of us." Lily staggered back, words wrapping around her mind like chains. "What? No, this can't be true." "It's true. They've kept you from the world, from us." The girl took a step closer, and for a moment the shadows seemed to retreat, revealing a flicker of warmth. "They hid the truth to protect themselves. They are afraid of what you can become." The mention of fear sent a shiver through Lily's veins. "What do you mean?" But before the girl could reply, the dark-coated man roared, launching himself forward. "Be quiet! You'll ruin everything!" His rush towards them sent shock waves through the air, vibrating against Lily's heart. But in a blink, the girl held up her hand. It shimmered like a beacon. "No, this is the moment. You have to see the truth." The man froze, anger morphing into a look of horror. "You shouldn't have come back. You're supposed to be gone." With that, a blinding light erupted from the girl's hand, illuminating the space with a bright glow that consumed everything. The shadows swirled violently, and for a split second, Lily felt a rush of air, almost like a tender embrace. Then, in the brilliant flash, memories flooded back, faces she didn't recognize but felt deep in her bones. "Let me show you," the girl cried, her voice cutting through the chaos. Lily blinked against the brightness, and the room shimmered with swirling images, scenes of a life lived in lush lands and vibrant colors, not the dullness of the backyard she had known, but just as quickly as it began, everything shifted again. The brightness enveloped them, squeezing and twisting, pulling Lily apart. "No, not again!" But it was futile. The light consumed her, erasing all certainty, collapsing into shadows once more. Lily gasped and stumbled, feeling something inside her splinter. What just happened? The air thickened. "Lily!" a voice cried. She turned to see her mother. No, not her mother. The woman stood vulnerable now, a tear glistening down her cheek. "Please, you have to believe me." Confusion twisted like a knife through Lily's heart. You're not my true mother." A whisper of disbelief hung in the air, thick with tension. The guardian's words came rushing back. "Everything you've known, it was all a lie." Just then, the dark-coated man collapsed to the ground, writhing as if caught in a storm. "You'll regret this." And with that, the very ground they stood on began to tremble, splitting in unforeseen ways. Lily's breath caught, and the world broke apart again. But as the darkness surged around them, one thought lingered in her mind. What else had they hidden? Finally, from the depths of the chaos, another figure stepped out. It was a man, older, wise. He could have been a king or a legend, but it was his eyes that shocked Lily. They mirrored her own, revealing a truth she could never have anticipated. "I'm your father," he said, the words resonating with an unbearable weight. The shadows stilled, silence punctuated only by Lily's pounding heart. Everything she thought she knew crashed around her like glass. Who was she? Who had she really been? Lightning flashed behind her, and a question hung heavy in the air. If this was reality, what other truths were waiting to be uncovered? Lily still felt the weight of her father's gaze, a mix of warmth and something darker. "I'm your father," he said. The words hung heavy in the air, jangling nerves and stirring dread. "You've been hidden for a reason." But before she could speak, a thunderous roar echoed from the shadows. It was like a wave crashing against the shore, powerful and overwhelming. The dark-coated man rose up again, his body twisting with an unearthly energy. "You shouldn't be here," he bellowed, voice vibrating with rage. "Stay back!" The girl who was Lily surged forward, flickers of light radiating from her hands. "If you try to stop us now, you'll fail!" In that instant, the ground shook beneath their feet, sending tremors through the air. The sky above darkened. Storm clouds swirling ominously. "This is your chance, Lily!" the girl shouted, eyes blazing. Suddenly, a crack of lightning lit up the darkness, illuminating the figures around her. And just as quickly, chaos erupted. Shadows lunged, morphing into erratic shapes, darting toward the girl and Lily's father. The dark-coated man laughed, a cruel, echoing sound that sliced through the tension. "You think you can wake her? You think you can save her?" Lily blinked, confusion wrestling with denial. She felt a deep pull, a connection between her and the girl. "What does he mean?" she cried, turning to her father. "What is happening?" In the midst of the chaos, she caught a glimpse of her mother, eyes wide with terror, mouth moving silently. "Mom!" Lily called, desperation tightening her throat. Then the world tilted. A blinding burst of light surrounded Lily, every color more vibrant than before. She felt a surge within her, a beating pulse echoing the storm raging outside. In that moment, everything blended into a flash of brilliance before her vision went dark. When Lily's sight returned, she was in a different place entirely. Gone was the frantic energy of the garden. Now she stood in a vast, dark hall where whispers filled the air. "Welcome to the Council of Shadows!" An ancient voice rang out, echoing off unseen walls. An ethereal figure stepped forward, adorned in flowing robes that trailed behind like smoke. "You've forgotten your true purpose." "Purpose?" Lily managed, fear clawing at her stomach. "What do you mean?" "Your father is not just your father. He's a leader here. You were brought to the surface to live among them. But you are destined for the depths," the figure declared. Her father stepped forward. "Lily, listen!" But just then, a thunderous crack split the air again. The halls trembled, and from the shadows poured a crowd of figures. Their faces blurred and indistinct. They carried a palpable energy that crackled in the air. A storm of emotion swirling around them. "Don't trust him!" one of the figures yelled, pointing a trembling finger at Lily's father. "He isn't what he seems." In that moment, Lily's heart sank. Tension coiled like a snake in her chest. What is going on?" A sudden roar shook the walls as the dark-coated man emerged, eyes blazing. "You are stronger than you know, Lily. But knowing the truth comes with a price." His voice boomed, reverberating within her. The air thickened, and the shadows started to absorb everything, pulling in light as the whispers transformed into shrieks. "Lily, you must choose!" the girl shouted, frantic. "You must unite with us, or you will lose everything." And just like that, she felt it. A shake. "What if I don't want to be part of this?" she gasped, glancing at the ever-growing darkness around them. The shadows moved at her command, swirling, and suddenly they morphed into shapes, revealing fragments of past memories. Images filled her mind, seeping into her thoughts like ink on paper. Faces, faraway realms, a home she'd never known. Every heartbeat pulsed with recognition. Each breath echoed with an unnameable fear. What is happening? Then a searing pain shot through her, sharp and undeniable. The shadows twisted violently as if reacting to her inner turmoil. "Remember who you are," the ancient voice urged, echoing through her mind. The walls around her cracked and started to fall. Everything around her was unspooling. "You must act quickly or you will be lost." The darkness surged, and in that crucial moment, the air crackled with power. A surge of clarity washed over her. A ferocity ignited in her heart. But as the chaos unfolded, she realized the most shocking truth of all. She didn't just want to know who she was. She wanted to break free from the chains of fate. "I'm done being hidden," she shouted, drawing herself up. "I choose my own path." Just then, a brilliant light erupted from her, a pulse of energy that shone fiercely, sending shadows scattering as she stepped forward, ready to face the unraveling darkness. As the chaos spun wildly around her, a final question erupted in her heart. Would embracing this newfound power bring her closer to the truth, or drive her further into the abyss? Lily felt the energy surge through her, an invincible pulse that roared in her chest. She stood there, solid in her choice. Yet as the light burst forth, illuminating the chaotic scene, everything shifted in an instant. A powerful scream erupted, slicing through the air, a sound filled with fury and despair. Everyone turned to the voice. It was her mother, pale and trembling. "Lily, no, don't let it in!" And then a darkness deeper than night began to stretch across the hall. It rippled and twisted around her, encroaching like a thick fog. The shadows danced wildly, drawn toward Lily's light like moths to a flame. For a moment, she felt invincible, but that confidence wavered as she caught a glimpse of her mother's face, a mask of terror. "Get away from me!" Lily shouted. But suddenly, the ground quaked beneath her feet, sending her stumbling back. The shadows surged, billowing and expanding. She felt the stinging cold wrap around her, pulling her into their abyss. But then, through the chaos, a sudden revelation pierced the swirling darkness. From behind her mother, figures stepped forward. 2 men, tall and cloaked in whispering fabric. They were familiar, eerily so. And then, in a flash, recognition shot through Lily like ice water. "Uncle! Grandfather!" She gasped, her heart racing. "Help her!" the girl shouted, but the cloaked men paused, exchanging glances filled with regret and something darker. Fear? Confusion? Suddenly the whole scene shifted again. "Lily," one of the men said, stepping into the light, his voice calm yet heavy with burden. "You don't know your true nature." "What are you talking about?" she shouted, panic racing through her veins. "Get away from me!" The shadows pulled apart, revealing a hidden chamber behind them, filled with intricate symbols glowing faintly on the walls. It felt ancient. The air grew thick with tension and secrets. "Your mother?" Her grandfather's voice trembled. "She's not who you think she is." A fire ignited within her. "What do you mean?" The dark-coated man staggered back, his anger swirling into desperation. "Stop! You're revealing too much!" But the man just shook his head, stepping closer to Lily, frustration etched on his face. "She is not your biological mother. We've hidden the truth to protect you. Your power is far beyond what anyone knows." Lily's heart dropped, confusion crashing down like thunder. Her mother? Not her mother? The words felt surreal, unreal. "No," she breathed, shaking her head. "That can't be." "Lily, listen!" the girl urged, stepping forward. "This is your chance. You have to understand who you truly are." But it was too much. The ground lurched again, shadows closing in tighter, feeding off her fear, or perhaps amplifying it. "Enough with the lies!" Lily screamed, cutting through the layers of confusion. "Tell me the truth!" The dark-coated man laughed. A sound so chilling it resonated through the air. "You think you have the power to change anything? You're nothing but a pawn. And then it happened. The shadows around him surged forward, twisting into a massive wave of darkness that swallowed everything. Lily felt herself pulled, spiraling, weightless. The last thing she heard was her mother's frantic voice. "Lily, please, no!" Then she was encased in darkness, a free fall into uncertainty. As everything went black, a single thought seared through her mind. If this wasn't her true identity, then who was she really? And what had they hidden from her all along? The darkness pressed in on Lily, filling her with a cold she had never known. She felt herself falling deep into the void, heart racing, mind whirling. Memories crashed against her like waves, distant faces and places calling to her, begging for recognition. "Wake up!" The girl's voice cut through the shadows, fierce and powerful. It sent a jolt of energy through Lily's body. She focused on the girl, the real Ho. "You can't let this darkness win." Lily took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the light she had summoned begin to pulse within her. "I choose my own path," she shouted, words echoing in the vast expanse. The shadows screamed back, echoing their anger and disdain. "Foolish child," the dark-coated man roared, as the shadows writhed around him. "You are nothing without us." "No!" Lily shouted, determination infusing her voice. "I'm everything because of who I am. I won't hide anymore." As she spoke, she felt the power rising within her, a fierce light that transformed the darkness around her. The shadows recoiled, their whispers turning to howls. This isn't over. With a burst of energy, Lily unleashed the light she felt within her, sending a wave of brilliance crashing against the dark. The shadows screamed like howling winds, pushing against the light, but yielding to its power. In that instant, everything crystallized. The shadows shattered like glass, scattering into a million fragments that dissolved into nothingness. Then there it was, a stillness, a room illuminated by a soft glow. Her father's face softened with a flash of something close to pride. "You did it, Lily. You freed yourself," he said, voice trembling with emotion. Suddenly, the walls around them began to repair, the intricate symbols glowing brighter than ever before. The memories of her life returned with clarity, a vision of her true self beginning to take shape. "Mom?" she whispered, looking for reassurance. Her mother stepped forward, her eyes filled with tears, softening the tension in her features. "I just wanted to protect you, but you have so much inside you," she said, a tremor in her voice. "I understand now." Lily felt a weight lift from her chest. "But you can't hide the truth from me anymore. I deserve to know who I really am." The girl smiled, a reflection of hope and strength. "You are not alone, Lily. We are all here. You have the power to shape your destiny." With that, the shadows slowly retreated, seeping into the cracks of the walls like smoke, leaving a quiet calm in their wake. They stood together, the air filled with a newfound warmth. For the first time in her life, Lily felt like she truly belonged. She could hear the whispers of her ancestors. guiding her forward and reminding her that she was never just a pawn in someone else's game. A flicker caught her eye. Her family, her true family surrounding her, bathed in light, in solidarity. "Together we're stronger," she said, voice steady and strong. As they stepped forward, ready to confront whatever lay ahead, the weight of uncertainty lingered, but it was accompanied by a sense of purpose. "Where do we go from here?" she asked, eyes bright with anticipation. "Wherever you choose," her father replied, a warm smile spreading across his face. But as they prepared to leave this shadow-filled room behind, a question reverberated in Lily's mind. What other adventures awaited them on the horizon? And before the story faded into silence, they knew this was just the beginning. Now, this is the time to act. Don't wait 1 second longer. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Press that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who need to know this ending. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel with these actions. So let's keep the magic alive.